all trying to do the same thing. Like, we're not trying to, like, sure, there's a business aspect to be like, yeah, I mean, I'd like to sell out my show, and I'm sure they would too, like, but, you know, there's a bunch of people live in town, it's okay. And also, like, it's really just about connecting and or expressing ourselves, like being vulnerable, allowing the audience to experience something they wouldn't allow themselves to experience, so they have to see it through you, like, all sorts of stuff. I mean, the other part too, and which is wonderful about the AIC, that like the connection of human beings is knowing that I could literally talk to hundreds of people and never talk to anyone that doesn't do improv. Like, I could just only talk to improvisers and accomplish everything I would need to do in life. Because everybody's doing improv and has some other job.
That's like subcultures.
It's like, if I needed, a guy a woodworker, I could find an improviser who does it. If I needed this, like, I was like, oh, okay, great. You make apps? Cool. I might call you because now you're my improv app guy. Like, it's like that kind of thing where there's just so many people doing different stuff that you could just stay within that community, which is good and bad, but
I definitely have to intentionally like have non-improv friends, but at the same time it gives you an excuse to be like, oh, this improv friend of mine does woodworking, maybe I'm gonna be like, hey, show me woodworking stuff. and man, improv, it's like when people ask me about like this scene or whatever, and I'm like, how great is it to have a hobby or an activity where one of the things you learn is like how to listen to other people. Like, how crazy is that? Where it's like you take a class and somebody's like, hey, you're not really listening to the other people. Like, that doesn't happen with anything else. You know? Like, oh man, if only musicians knew what improvisers know about, because like they don't know how to like collaborate musically. They only know how to like have ideas, and then they don't really know how to make them work with other ideas, right?
I feel like that's the case with different kinds of performers, though, because like there's actors that don't know how to do it. Like, I have friends that do just straight up plays, and when I talk to them about improv, they're like, that sounds crazy. Like, and you're like, it's really not that crazy. Like, it's like, you know the play you did? Just do that. And they're like, but I memorized these lines and I rehearsed them for a long... And I'm like, oh, I get that. But, like, that's not really...
I mean, the secret of all of this is, like, how easy it actually is, right?
Well, I think it's a talent that people have to allow themselves to have. And most people are wound up enough that they can't. Their defense mechanism is such that it makes improv impossible, because if they let their guard down enough to connect with other people, then they could be hurt, and that's a problem. And you sort of have to open yourself up to the fact that you can be hurt to experience the good stuff. But I'm a big proponent of, if you don't have the bad, you can't have the good. Like, all the things. You know, whenever I have a real bad day, I'm like, it's cool, because this is going to swing up. Like, when you're at rock bottom, you're like, well, you can only go up from here.
You know, something I've been thinking about is, like, when you have a bad show, and it's like you have a choice, but your choices aren't like, don't let the bad shows affect you, and that's it. Because what happens is, if you're like, oh, the bad shows, whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you do that, as a consequence, the great shows also matter less. And you kind of have to choose, like, either I'm going to really love and appreciate the amazing shows, and I'm going to feel like shit with the bad shows, or I'm going to kind of numb myself to both of them, in which case it doesn't really matter, you know? And so that's for me, when I'm like, I have to, like, I can't have one, it has to go both ways.
To bring it back to education in a wrap up, and I feel good about it. I think, interestingly, when you said it, I was like, oh, I think that maybe that's what I'm doing. When I have good or bad shows, I try to use them as learning. Like, I'm like, okay, if I hated that, then what did I learn? If I did well, what was it about it that I could learn about it? But I think, based on what you said just now, I actually think that's me numbing myself to it. Like, I think that for me, especially because I've been a teacher for so long, that's my, like, hold it far enough away from me. Because I'm always thinking about other people. And don't get me wrong, that's how I get level ones out of their heads is to make them think about other people. But I think my talking to level ones has gotten me in such a place that now I'm holding it far away from me and numbing myself with the idea of this, like, it's all good because I learn, good or bad. And it's like, interesting. Next time I need to start performing a little bit more and try to languish in the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that, like, when it's not going well, just, like, sink into it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a dramatic word, but it's, like, grieving.
Sure.
Like a healthy therapy kind of word for it is, like, letting yourself be like, that was bad. It can't always be good.
Yeah.
But then as a bonus, it's like, when you have the good stuff, you can just let the positive, like, take hold of you too.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like we were talking about right at the beginning, where it's like, I want my son to use anger for positivity, but it's like, if I don't let myself grieve, how will I use grief to get myself through something that I need to grieve?
Yeah.
Interesting how that is. Even the tiniest little things to grieve on, like shows.
Yeah, because it's such a heavy word, right? But I guess that's
it does.
Maybe there's a less dramatic word, but
I'm sure. But who uses less dramatic words? Not us.
Not us. Us who bear our souls upon this stage.
Exactly. But it's beautiful to do. I think it's really. I surround myself with people who do it because I feel like that's the way to live. And
I think you have a lovely perspective on all this kind of stuff. That it's like the vulnerability and the connection, and like that's what matters.
Well, I mean, too, also keep in mind, like, I've been doing this for so long that the only way to buoy myself to continue to do it is to really sink into it in an almost religious capacity. Because it's like, why not? It's given me so much, and I can give back with it, and I can do what I always wanted to do. And I didn't know what improv was when I was a drama major. I didn't know that was even an option when I was in college. I mean, it was. At the same time I was in college was when Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were at, Second City. So it was like, this was all happening at the same time, but I didn't know. I didn't know till I moved here and, like, happened upon it at Cold Town, too, which is funny. I was like, it was sold out for you, but I got to see a show.
But you got to see... I just wonder about, like, a parallel universe where maybe I saw a show at Cold Town and I was like, I'm going to do classes there.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you just don't know. And I sometimes I think it just sort of puts you in the path of where to start. But I guess too, since I've had different groups that I've hung out with. Like, I lived in New York and had a group, and I lived in Dallas, had a group. Like, so now I'm like, oh, good. I'm so excited to meet more of the people, because it's like, for 9 years I've had this group, and now I'm going to move on and do other things and meet other people. And, there's fear and various other factors holding you back sometimes from leaving the tightly knit little group that you have. Right. But then sometimes, you get to the point where people are nice and you're like, oh, they're not scary. Yeah. No one's going to be mean to me over there. I'll go talk to them.
Yay.
Well, we're all nervous, I mean, yes. We're all level 1 improv somehow.
Oh, that's a good one.
We're
all level 1 improv somehow.
It's just, I don't know. I love my little level ones, though. They're my faves. Yeah. I love them so much. Good peeps. Everyone needs to experience it. So before I turn off the recording device and say goodbye to you, I wanted to ask you, I'm going to post this today. Okay. So if you have anything you want to plug for upcoming shows, you're welcome to. You have two troupes, and Lord knows other things.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. I'm going to probably promote my Song of the Week.
Yeah!
That is soundcloud.com. Oh, man, let me make sure I get this URL right.
Song of the Week. And this has just been for the year, right?
Yeah, this is for this year. So I'm 5 tracks in, because we're 5 weeks into the year.
Ooh.
SoundCloud.com/underwater with an extra R at the end. So that's UNDER WATERR. And then you can see all my extremely close feelings.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're going to be great. Everyone's very supportive.
Oh, good.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Oh, if your comment section gets bad, I'm terribly sorry. I'll remove the link. No, you're nice, audience, right? Yeah. All right, good. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking.
This was a dream come true for me.
Oh, you're
interview
so
for
sweet.
a podcast. I'm like, oh, my God, this is happening.
Yeah. Well, you're a great guy.
Thank
Absolutely.
You.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Yes But Why podcast.